Hey everyone, it's Alicia and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing part 2 of my eyeshadow palette declutter series. If you haven't already, be sure to watch the first part linked above and also check the description box for any other information you have missed or you need a reminder on. Thank you all so much for the positive feedback from the first part, and I'm happy that you all are really enjoying it. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So starting this video with the Morphe 35S Sweet Oasis palette. It just came out about 2 weeks ago. This is what the palette looks like if you haven't seen pictures of it. A very pretty color story. It has your greens, your pastel greens, your pinks, your pastel pinks, your neutrals and everything like that. It looks like an even amount of shimmers as well as mattes. This palette, when I saw it, I thought it was really pretty, and believe it or not, once it actually got to my house, I lost all interest in this palette. Reason being is I wind up ordering some other palettes after this one, and I received those first. And in those palettes, I actually have these colors tenfold, as well as I'm sure that I have these colors overall in my collection. So even though this palette just came out, it's untouched and everything, I'm actually gonna get rid of it. Next is the BH Cosmetics 6th edition First Tray to Go 6-color eyeshadow palette. This is in the shade, well, doesn't even have a shade name. Well, any fiddles, these are the colors that's in the palette. All shimmer shades, never used it, never swatched it. To be honest with you, I don't even remember buying this palette. So with that being said, I'm just gonna get rid of it. Next is my Buxom eyeshadow palette. This is one of the ones where you buy the singles and you get the tray for free and you can create your own customized palette. When I first made this palette, I was so excited with the colors and everything. I swatched this shade, and this shade because they were the shimmer shades. The other ones I didn't even really care to. I just got it just to fill up the palette. This is how the shades look, and although they are very pretty colors, I do not see myself using this palette. I have not reached for this palette since the day I bought it. I used these colors in a look and didn't even bother to use these colors, which is weird because the main reason I even got these was because I got these. So with that being said, I honestly don't need to keep this because I don't reach for it. There's no need. I'm pretty sure that I have these colors. Well, I know for a fact I have the blue and the gold. This orange one is very unique because it's like a burnt terracotta color, excuse me. More on the burnt orange side, and it has like gold specks of micro glitter in it. This is a very unique shade, but overall, I have no need for it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Next is a Lorac eyeshadow palette, and this is Vintage Vixen, and this is a 5-color mini palette, perfect for travel. Love this deep maroon shade. I have a dark cool tone chocolate like this. I have these shades tenfold, and I know I absolutely have this color as well. I don't recall using this palette. I have swatched it. I absolutely love this shade. Such a gorgeous shade. But I know for a fact I have a shade like this in my collection. The fact that I don't reach for it, I don't use it, honestly almost forgot I had it. I am just going to get rid of this. Next is the Lorac Tails and Top Hats eyeshadow palette, another travel size palette. These are the shades. These are very neutral, cool tone. Have these shades tenfold, don't reach for it, almost forgot I had it. Even though I am in love with this black, it's very buildable. It's such a great black. Overall, like I said, I have these shades, if not shades very similar to this. No need to keep this, I'm getting rid of it. Next is my Sleek Makeup eyeshadow palette, and this is E10594. That's the name of the eyeshadow palette. Okay, so this one, very, very pretty. Love the color story. Was so excited to get this, got it, forgot I had it, have not used it. The color story, like I said, is very pretty, very on brand for me. Love the pops of color in this. They're all shimmers. Well, no, there's 6, 12, 11 shimmers and 1 matte, which is totally unrealistic for me. I know I have all these shades in my collection tenfold. With that being said, don't need to keep this. I'm going to get rid of it. I have another sleek eyeshadow palette, and this is the Under a Spell palette. Another palette I totally forgot that I even had. Pretty color story, love. Like, this is totally on brand for me. It's just, it's sad that I bought this palette along with the others, was totally excited to use it. Then it went to the bottom of my drawer, never to be seen again. Never swatched a single shade of this palette or the other one. There are 4 mattes and 8 shimmers. I know I have these colors in my collection tenfold. Don't need to keep this. I'm gonna get rid of it. This is another sleek eyeshadow palette, and this is the Vintage Romance 141 palette. Okay, this one I did swatch. I swatched those 2 shades right there. The rest is completely untouched. Very pretty palette. Love the color story. Another palette I totally forgot I even had. The fact that I only swatched these 2 shades goes to show that these were probably the ones I was most excited for. The quality, I can't remember how it was. Let me just do a quick swatch and we will see. Okay, they're very pretty. They actually go really nice with this, what is this? This deep burgundy shade from the Lorac palette. So that's very interesting. But yeah, totally forgot I had this palette. Don't reach for it, which is sad because that just means that I spent money on something and quickly lost interest in it. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it go. Kind of disappointed because those 2 shades that I just swatched for you guys was really pretty. Do you see that? Very reflective. So next we have the NYX Contour Intuitive Eye and Face Sculpting Palette. It has 6 eyeshadows, a highlighter, 2 highlighters and a blush. This is how it looks opened up. Have not swatched that at all. Completely forgot that I had it. Very pretty colors. Honestly, this is my color, my type of blush. The highlighters are even pretty my type. Everything about this, believe it or not, is my type minus those 3 very neutral shades. These themselves are even pretty, but realistically, I'm not gonna reach for this. I think I've had this for over a year now. Haven't swatched it, haven't touched it, forgot I had it. So with that being said, I need to get rid of it. So I'm going to get rid of it. Another NYX Contour Intuitive, eyeshadow palette, blush and highlighter set. Another one, these shades right here. These 5 are so me. Love the blush color, love the highlighter shades. The highlighter shades are actually really pretty, but I got this the same time as the other one. Totally forgot I had it. Have not used it, have not swatched it. Therefore, I need to get rid of it, so I'm going to get rid of it. Next, I have the Pure Revolution palette. The Revolution Mini Eyeshadow palette, And this is what it looks like. Very travel friendly, very cool tone. It looks like 4 satins, 1 matte. I swatched this, don't remember swatching it. The color story is totally, aside from superior, it's actually kind of boring. Don't have any interest in it. Don't see me picking this up. So I'm going to obviously get rid of this one too. Next, we have the Juvia's Place Afrique eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. I love this palette. I love the color story. I love that it is all over the place. Normally, that will deter a person from getting something because it's all over the place, but I love the quality of this. Dakar, Côte d'Ivoire, Bintu, Fifi, Kofi, Angelique. These are just shades off the top of my head that I know that I loved every time I used them. So this is Bintu. Look at that. And Kofi. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And Angelique. Look at that. Come on. Now do you see why I got rid of this palette? Even though they are 2 totally different shades, they're still in the same shade family. And if I wanted to create this color, I could possibly just mix this with a black shade and slowly build it up to get this color. So I made the right decision in getting rid of that Lorac palette because I'm totally going to keep this one. Absolutely great quality. Love it. Love playing with it. I am keeping it. Finally, something I am keeping. Next is the Nubian palette by Juvia's Place. Now this palette is very neutral. It's great quality. Absolutely love using this palette whenever I have used it. These two shades are my perfect transition shades when doing a neutral look or just in general. If I need a transition shade, I know I can always resort to these two. Now, realistically, in my collection, I know that I have neutral palettes that are great quality, more shades and stuff like that. And I realistically do not need to keep this palette, but every time I have used it, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So shockingly enough, I'm going to keep a neutral palette. And besides, I'm going to need a neutral palette anyway for when I need to create looks, because I can't just have color all the time. I can, but realistically, you need some type of balance. Next is the Saharan 2 by Juvia's Place. Love this palette so much. The pan sizes, the shimmers, the shades, everything I absolutely love about this palette. You already know just by looking at this shade that I love this palette. Let me see, make sure my hand is dry since I just used makeup remover wipes to clean it. Let me see, hold on, let me dry my hand thoroughly so I can swatch it for you guys. Okay, so this shade, look, I am obviously keeping this palette. I freaking love it. This shade, like, come on. Come on. When I die, press me into this eyeshadow shade. Please, 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 please. I just absolutely love this palette. I am keeping it. Another Juvia's Place palette. This is the Festival by Juvia's Place. Another palette that I absolutely love. The color story, I love the quality, I love the shades in it. Oro, excuse me, is such a gorgeous muted mustard shade. Absolutely love it. Manwu, I can't remember how to pronounce this, so I am so sorry for butchering the name. I really can't remember right now how to pronounce it, but I love this peachy matte shade of Fala. This like vibrant in-your-face orange Izafa. This whole palette is just so freaking beautiful. I'm gonna swatch this shade for you guys. Look at that. Look at that. I'm like the Tin Man now. Do you see that? And of course I had to do a Fala. Like, come on, look at how beautiful she is. I'm keeping this one. I would be a fool not to. Next is the Festival palette by Profusion. I absolutely love this palette. I think this is one of the best. Hold on, let me pull this off. I think that this is one of the best colorful eyeshadow palettes on the market. It is extremely affordable. It is just amazing how the quality is. Every time I have used this palette, I have fallen more and more in love with it. There's one look on my Instagram as well as on my channel that I created using this palette. I'll insert a quick picture just to show you. I absolutely love this palette. Every time I use it, it is chef's kiss. I am never disappointed. I'm just totally and thoroughly obsessed with this palette. If you do not have this palette in your collection, please pause this video, go to your nearest Walmart, go to your nearest Target, or even go to the Profusion website, and please get this palette. It is just phenomenal. I have absolutely nothing but good things to say about this palette. This is how amazing it is. So I am definitely keeping this. I mean, that went without saying, because for me to say all those good things and then say, I'm gonna get rid of it. Yeah, no, I'm keeping this palette. I think when I die, I want to be buried with this palette because it is so beautiful. Next is the Morphe 35W palette. If I could get this open. Okay, so funny enough, I'm one of those people that when I first had the original Morphe palettes, it used to piss me off that there were no shade names. And if I ever decided to do tutorials or looks with them, I wanted to be able to say, oh, I'm pointing into this, I'm going into this. So I actually used the protective sheet to write the names of shades on it. I know, totally totally weird. But yeah, that's just a fun fact about what I did. Anywho, this is what the 35W looks like. Very, very neutral palette. I don't reach for it. The quality wasn't bad. I remember loving this shade, and this black. No, I'm sorry. This shade, and this shade. I really love them in this palette. Unfortunately, I don't reach for this palette. I have other palettes with all these shades in it. I'm sorry, I have other neutral palettes, and I have other palettes with just those specific shades. So there's no need for me to keep this. I'm going to get rid of this. This is the Morphe 35S. Funny, I have the original 35S and the new 35S. Again, another palette that I wrote shade names to. I remember when this palette first came out, I didn't get it. I waited a couple of months and then I finally got it once it went on sale. And when I did, I used this palette so much. The yellow was very loved. The deep green, the hunter green was very well loved. This purple was very low loved. I really love this palette for what it was worth when it first came out. Ever since it's been out though, there have been better shades on the market, better quality, so I honestly just don't reach for it. I have no reason to reach for it, so therefore I'm gonna get rid of it. Oh yeah, another shade that I really liked was this one, just in case you didn't know what it looked like. That's what it looked like. Very, very pretty shade. It kind of reminds me of mermaids because of how reflective it is. I don't know. It just reminds me of mermaids. But yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this palette. But I did, at one point in time, this palette was my ride or die. This was my everything. And I'm kind of sad to see it go. Would you look at this, another nudes palette. What the hell? But anywho, this is the Maybelline nudes palette. It doesn't say what nude, so I'm assuming this is the original nude. But yeah, swatch this palette, very cool tone, neutral. Don't reach for it, forgot I had it along with the others. So therefore, I'm going to bundle these up with the others and get rid of this. Next is the Revolution Reloaded Iconic Neutrals 2 palette. This palette, I honestly, ooh, excuse me, I'm belching like crazy. Sorry about that. Honestly, I don't know why I got this palette, especially since I have Modern Renaissance and I have these shades tenfold in my collection. But some way, somehow, I decided it was a good idea for me to get this. Seeing how neutral it was and me being a sucker for these pinks and these oranges, I felt this was a justified purchase. I swatched that shade, and that shade. Don't recall, nope, never used this. I can't even think of a single look that I used where I pulled this palette out. I know I have these shades tenfold. Like I said, just looking at this, this is Modern Renaissance. I'm going to get rid of this palette. I don't know why I bought it, to be honest with you. I even talking about it now, I can't think of a single reason why I got it. Speaking of Modern Renaissance, here she is. So this is Modern Renaissance. Everybody has seen this palette. Everybody has used this palette. Everybody knows the craze behind this palette. I'm pretty sure everyone has this palette in their collection. Realgar, Love Letter, Red Ochre, Venetian Red, Primavera. Just so many iconic shades. Burnt Orange, Tempera, Vermeer. So many icon, Cypress Umber. Like I can go on and on. Every shade in here was freaking, sorry, I'm trying, gosh, I'm sorry for blinding you guys. Hold on. It's just my camera wants to pick up everything right now. Okay, that should be better. This palette was so iconic. It created such a craze. Everybody had to have it. It was sold out, restocked, sold out, restocked. This is like what put Anastasia Beverly Hills on the map. Sure, she was known for doing eyebrows and stuff like that. She was known as the eyebrow guru. They had other palettes before this one, but this pretty much put Anastasia Beverly Hills on the map. This is such an iconic palette. I don't play with it much. I am going to try my hardest to do a series with this palette because it really deserves a lot of love. There was quite a bit of fallout in this palette, but overall the palette just performs so beautifully that I have no choice but to keep it. Next is the Bad Habit Retro Love eyeshadow palette. And this palette, you already know from the color story what palette this is a dupe for. Yes, it's a dupe for Subculture. Funny enough, I did a swatch video for Subculture when they first came out. I was one of those that got a crap ass palette. I sent it back, received another one. That one was a little bit better, but it was still like, it wasn't worth the hassle. There was so much controversy around that palette, which was sad because they had this high of Modern Renaissance putting them on the map, and then Subculture just totally knocked them back like 45 steps. The color story was interesting. This is the very first time Norvina tried to incorporate pressed pigments into the palette, but there was so many things wrong with the palette. The idea was there, like the color story was there. The execution, unfortunately, was not. And it actually got a bunch of bad reviews to the point that Anastasia Beverly Hills wind up discontinuing the palette. Like I said, I bought the first palette from the company itself. Bad quality, sent it back, got a replacement. Still had a problem with that one, sent that one back, got my money back. But I still loved this color story, and it was so sad because at the time there weren't colors like this on the market. So when Bad Habit released Retro Love, I was all over it. Did a swatch video for it and everything. Compared very well to Subculture, and if anything, I actually liked how this performed more than Subculture. So I no longer have Subculture in my collection, obviously, because I sent them both back, but I kept this one, and that's because I loved it so much and how it performed. For those reasons, I'm going to keep this palette because I still wanted the Subculture experience, just not the controversy that came along with it. Next is the Technic Electric Beauty eyeshadow palette. This is a palette of straight up shimmers. Loved the quality. All these swatched beautifully, but I have my BH Club Tropicana palette, so because of that, I don't need these shades because these shades are already in that palette. I would rather keep that one since it had more shades than to keep this one and just have the same amount of shades, if that makes any sense. To be honest with you, the quality of this one is really good, but I think the BH one is just a little bit better. So for those reasons, I'm going to keep that palette and get rid of this one. Next is the LA Girl Neons eyeshadow palette. Now, pretty color story. I realize that the more I get into makeup, the more I realize I hate rectangular pans. It's something about them. I don't know what it is. I could be just being nitpicky, but I hate rectangular pans. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, like some of the Urban Decay eyeshadow palette pans are shaped like this, and some of the Milk Cosmetic pans are shaped like this. But they were done in such a good way that you can dip your brush into it and not feel like you're dipping to others as well, if that makes any sense. So, I like this palette. I planned on using this a lot. I swatched it. It was decent. It wasn't anything too crazy. For the price, it was good. I think I paid, what, $15 for this, if that. The quality, like I said, it was decent, but I know I have these shades in my collection. I know that there's no need for me to keep this, and also I don't want to be annoyed when using an eyeshadow palette, and the size of these pans just annoy me. So I'm going to get rid of this. Next is the Profusion Matte eyeshadow palette, and it is unopened. Okay, so you can see it because it's a clear case. Hopefully I'm not glaring you all to death. Matte palette, very neutral. Have these shades tenfold. From the reviews that I saw, this was a really, really good palette. The quality, I'm not even going to question the quality because Profusion has been on a roll with the quality of their palettes for like the last 2 to 3 years. So I'm assuming that this one is good as well. Like I said, have these colors in my collection. Don't need to hold on to this, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Next is the Urban Decay and Gwen Stefani collaboration eyeshadow palette. This is what the palette looks like. Very cool tone, very neutral. Aside from the shade Punk, Danger 1987 and Pop. Oh, and of course, Iconic Blackout is in this. This is like one of the blackest blacks you can ever get in the market. Sorry guys about blinding you. It's just between my light and the camera, it's reflecting off of everything, and I'm so sorry about that. But Blackout is one of the most iconic blacks on the market. One of the most pigmented blacks on the market. Like, unbelievably beautiful. But like I said, very neutral, very cool tone. Don't reach for this palette. This is one of the very first eyeshadow palettes by Urban Decay I bought along with the Alice Through the Looking Glass palette. Yeah, with that palette. Unfortunately, I do not reach for this. This is where I'm torn because, like I said, this was one of the very first Urban Decay palettes that I bought. I think, yeah. Okay, what I'm going to do is, I know I can find Blackout as a single. I'm going to see if I can find 1987 and Punk as a single through Urban Decay. If I can, I'm going to buy those, excuse me, and get rid of the palette. If I cannot, I'm just going to keep the palette. So for now, I'm going to hold on to this. Next is the Storybook Cosmetics Wizardry and Witchcraft eyeshadow palette. Love this palette. Love the quality. Hold on, sorry. Damn glare. Love this palette. Love this quality. I did not use it enough. I need to honestly start using it more because when I did use this palette, I really enjoyed it. There were no complaints. The colors built up beautifully. Yes, I have these colors tenfold in my collection, but I do not own anything else by Storybook Cosmetics. For those reasons, I'm going to keep this palette. Yeah, for those reasons, I'm going to keep this palette. Next is Good Sport by Colourpop. Love this eyeshadow palette. Absolutely love it. I feel like this is the baby sister of the Subculture by ABH palette. Absolutely love these shades. Honestly, I just love this palette so much. One of the best Colourpop palettes that they had ever come out with. If I do say so myself, Reckless is one of those shades that... Actually, look at that! I found the Lorac shade right in this palette. Hoorah! So yes, I'm so happy I got rid of the Lorac palette because I am obviously keeping this. Even before swatching it and being reminded of how much it was like that one, I was going to keep this palette, but that just totally solidified it for me. Beautiful palette. Unfortunately, it is no longer available, but if you can get your hands on it, do what you can because, like I said, this is a really great palette. I have to swatch that one too because I know that one is probably glaring at y'all too. Look at that one. Look at that. Yes, I'm keeping her. Beautiful. Next is the Ulta Beauty Endless Eyes eyeshadow palette. This one is a very pretty palette. This one didn't really get a lot of, what is the word? Not a lot of people talked about this palette, and understandably so because it's Ulta Beauty and people tend not to like Ulta Beauty, which is weird because, okay, let me explain. I understand people not really talking about Ulta Beauty because once upon a time the quality was crap of their products. I will say that hands down. Once they decided to reformulate their eyeshadows, they have been out of this world. These shades alone, the shades don't have names by the way, I'm sorry. These shades alone were my absolute favorite. Hold on. Oh, I should have made sure my finger was absolutely dry when I did that. I'm so sorry because now I kind of, it kind of like settled into my finger. Okay, that was my fault. But yes, these two shades I recall being so beautiful and I love the way that they applied. Now the thing is, I have these shades tenfold. Have no reason to keep this palette. I wish a lot of people did have this palette and talked about it more because the quality was really good. Along with Ulta's new reformulated single eyeshadows, the quality in those are just phenomenal. Some of my very favorite single eyeshadows are from Ulta Beauty. So as much as I love this palette, it's very cool tone. I have these colors. I don't need to keep it because I don't reach for it. But the quality is great. I'm not getting rid of it for anything else other than the fact that I already have these colors and other palettes that I reach for more. Next is the Cara Beauty Dreamscape palette. Cara Beauty is a company that I heard of for a very long time. Haven't really didn't really think to get into them or try their quality until probably about 6-7 months ago. Ever since then, their shadows I have been obsessed with. I love the way they perform. I love the color stories and everything. This one is such a gorgeous palette. I recently did a swatch video on this palette. Wait, was it recently? I don't know, man. COVID got everything all jacked up. Stuff be feeling like 3 years ago and it'd be like 2 days ago. I don't know, but I did a swatch video on this and I talked about how great the quality was. This has like 2 cream to like powder finishes, like the Super Shock shadows. So those, although they're pretty, didn't really care for them because of the formula. But overall, this palette is gorgeous. It has your pops of neons, your pastels, just overall great quality product. I will definitely be keeping this. Next is the September Rose Brew eyeshadow palette. Gorgeous packaging. Love this company, by the way. So this is the inside of the Brew eyeshadow palette. Very neutral. Have your pops of reds, your oranges, your 2 golds. The only thing I hated about this palette is the fact that there were literally 2 golds. You could put any other shades for the 2 metallics, and they chose 2 golds. I absolutely hated that. That should have been like an icy champagne or even a red or something, but just 2 golds made no sense in this palette. Overall, the quality of this was really amazing. Love the color story. It is one of my favorite neutral eyeshadow palettes that I own. For those reasons, I'm going to keep it. Next is the B by Bubs Beauty eyeshadow palette in collaboration with BH Cosmetics. Very cool tone palette. Clearly, it's nothing to write home about. Pretty color story, very cool toned. Not really my cup of tea. Don't reach for this. Forgot I had it. Clearly, I'm going to get rid of this. Next is the original BH Cosmetics Carly Bible eyeshadow palette and highlighter palette. There I go, writing the names on stuff again. But yeah, this is the color story. Very neutral. This is still when I was trying to figure out what I liked as far as eyeshadows go. The quality was decent. The eyeshadow shades really don't do anything for me. They really provided such a light wash of color. It was really made for someone medium to light to fair skin. Us chocolate girls, us brown girls, we really didn't get much out of this unless it was like a very subtle look, like very, very subtle natural look. And it's disappointing because these highlighters work so great for us. Love the highlighters, didn't care for the eyeshadows themselves. The quality wasn't bad, but yeah, just don't reach for this. Don't care for this palette. Have these shades, have these highlighter shades. There's really no need for me to keep this, so I'm gonna get rid of this. Next is the Makeup Revolution. What is this? Eyes Like Angels eyeshadow palette. Oh, sorry for the glare, sorry for the glare. Trying to get this open. So yes, this is what this palette looks like. What the heck? Trying not to blind you. Let me focus, 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 focus. There we go. Beautiful, very beautiful eyeshadow palette. Love the color story. This is me in a palette. Like, I love how crazy and chaotic it is. It really doesn't have one exact direction. It's just like, here, we'll give you orange, yellow. We'll give you a blue. We'll give you a purple. We'll give you a hot pink. We'll give you a black. We'll just give you total chaos in a palette. Enjoy. Come up with whatever you can. Realistically, I have all these shades in other palettes. The quality wasn't bad. It's just not anything that I reach for. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have no reason to keep this, so I'm gonna get rid of this. Next is the Pure Transformation palette. These shades, hold up, try not to blind you because it's one of those mirror thingies. There we go. All of these shades, absolutely gorgeous. Quality is phenomenal. Absolutely love these 4 shades right here. This, I don't know if it was okay, so it is 2 cheeks, no, 2 bronzers and a blush. What the heck? Hold on. Okay, so what the heck? No, that can't be. Okay, never mind. I realized what I did. Okay, so these this like T right here are the eyeshadows. This is a cream eyeshadow. The rest are just standard powder shadows. This is a cream bronzer and a cream blush. Clearly, I don't use the bottom row because I couldn't tell you what the hell it was until I looked in the back of it. But these shadows on the top, absolutely love them. The quality is so freaking good. I honestly, I don't care for the bottom row. I can't use the bottom row. I'm a chocolate girl. I'm a brown girl. Can't use them. Don't care for them. This being a cream, I'll probably use this as a black base for eyeshadows. But other than that, I could care less about the bottom row. The top row is where it's at. Surprisingly enough, this will shock a lot of you, especially if you're not new to my channel and you've been here for a while. I'm going to keep this palette because that's how great the quality is. Let me stop talking about it and show y'all about it. Look at this. Might as well do that one too. Look at that. I'm definitely keeping this. Love them. Have these shades. I know I have these shades, but this, I have to keep it. I have to. Next is the Ulta Beauty Melissa Michelle eyeshadow palette, and it says right here she's a beauty blogger. I'm pretty sure there was others that were beauty bloggers. I know Carly Bible was one, but I know there's other palettes in here that were done by beauty bloggers. I'm sorry if I didn't acknowledge that before. But yeah, this is the palette. Okay, she's cute. It's sad that I'm saying it as if I'm seeing the palette for the first time. It's just I feel like I'm seeing the palette for the first time because of how long ago I got it and the fact that I didn't use it. I don't know why the hell I even have it. Don't care for this color story. I mean, the shadows look pretty. I'm assuming that's a bronzer. It's not going to bronze anything on me. Very pretty highlighter shades. Very neutral. Matte lipstick. I love the Ulta Beauty matte lipsticks. The quality of them are really good. Like I said, Ulta Beauty in general, I just love the quality of their stuff. Because of the fact that I didn't even remember what the inside of the palette looks like, nor is it even swatched, touched, or used, I am going to get rid of this. Next is the Lorac Unzipped Ocean Sunset palette. This is what she looks like. Very pretty color story, very cool tone, very not Alicia, but I love how these perform. This shade in particular, Stingray, is such a unique cool tone, like eggplant navy shade. I know that that's not even a thing, but it's like eggplant, the color eggplant and like navy blue got together and created a love child and made this damn shade. I just absolutely adore it. And it's cool tone. And I'm not really a person for cool tones, but I just really love, excuse me, that was gonna drive me insane if I didn't wipe that up right now. The quality of this palette was really, really good. Out of the other sunsets, didn't really care for those, so those I've decluttered a long ass time ago. But this one I've always managed to hold on to because I always saw myself coming back to it. I have played around with it quite a bit and I love how it performs every time I use it. I don't really have many cool tone palettes, and because of the fact that this Stingray shade, mainly, I'm going to keep this palette. If I can somehow find this shade somewhere else, I think it'll persuade me into getting rid of this palette overall. But then again, maybe not, because like I said, I don't really have many cool tone palettes. So with that being said, I am going to keep this though. Next is the Ace Beauty Quintessential eyeshadow palette. This is what she looks like. Love this palette. Every time I use it, I fall more in love with it. Clove, patchouli, rosewood, juniper neroli, mandarin, bergamot. This whole palette is just absolutely beautiful. I don't know if this palette is even still available, but if you can get your hands on it, I feel like everyone should have this palette in their collection. It is neutral, don't get me wrong, but I love the pops of color, and because of the pops of color, it makes it seem like there's more to the palette than what you would originally think. Like I said, I really love this palette. I love the quality of it. And I think, actually, yes, this is the very first Ace Beauty palette I've ever bought in my life. So yes, sentimental value. I have other Ace Beauty palettes, but this one I'm definitely keeping because this one I always come back to. Next is the TZ Cosmetics Twilight eyeshadow palette. This is what she looks like on the inside. Love, these colors. Yes, the palette is chaotic. It is all over the place. There's no direction, but I love how pretty they are, how they perform. This red is a true red. This blue, this orange, just overall really, really pretty palette. It's difficult to create a cohesive look with this palette. Reason being, there's only 2 mattes, but as an accompaniment, to use this palette, you would have to accompany it with another palette. But even so, that doesn't bother me because, like I said, I really love these shadows. Don't really recall hearing a lot of people talk about this company. I don't even know if this company is still around, but yes, this palette I love. I'm keeping this. This is the Chasing Rainbows eyeshadow palette by Colourpop. Very, very pretty color story. This is totally me. Bring It is so pretty. Let's see. Do I even have room? Yeah, I have room right here. Look at that. Look at that. She is beautiful. I love her. I love her. Like this, okay, this shade, I see this color and it reminds me of my boyfriend. It's just such a beautiful shade. If you haven't seen my boyfriend, whew, just know this is my boyfriend in a shade because of how beautiful it is. The color story is very me. It is neutral pops of color. I just love this palette. I love the layout of it. The quality. Colourpop, their pressed powder shadows are some of the best on the market. They're absolutely affordable. I really do. I absolutely enjoy Colourpop. My only gripe with Colourpop is the same as everyone else's. They need to slow the fuck down with their releases. Once upon a time, obviously, when this palette came out, they were releasing things like twice a month. You remember that? Those were good times. Now Colourpop is releasing 7 fucking collections. Excuse my language. They're releasing 7 collections a day. You cannot keep up with Colourpop, which is ironic because Trend Mood has the hashtag keeping up with Colourpop because it is ridiculous at this point. It's sad because the quality is there. When they actually take time to create collections, this is back when they took their time to create collections where there was a cohesive color story where it worked for every skin tone. Not, hey, we're going to give people or women of color a collection every 45 collections. The rest of them are going to be ashy as hell on you. I can go into it all day about my love and my hate for Colourpop, but it is mostly love, especially when they created palettes like this, the Good Sport palette, the Karuchi She palette, so many amazing palettes that Colourpop has created, and they show us they can create these palettes. It's just they really need to slow down and they need to focus on one thing at a time. So sorry for going off, but yeah, clearly based on that, I'm going to keep this palette because this is back when Colourpop actually cared, you know? Next is a big ass cheeseburger. No, this is the Bombshell Cosmetica Bombshell Burger eyeshadow palette. One of my favorite palettes, obviously because of the size. Yes, it's very gimmicky. I understand that. Some people may not like it. Me personally, some things I like, some things I don't. This I really thought was cute, especially since it comes in like a Big Mac box. I thought it was really cute. Love the color story. These are all mattes. I love the pops of neon, the pops of color. I love the neutrals. I love everything about this palette. Now, the company is no longer in business, understandably so, because they are shady as hell. They were taking people's money. Some people were paying, never got their order. The company has been closed, I think, for over a year now, and there are still people still trying to get a refund and dispute it with their bank. The company had really great ideas. They executed them amazingly. It's just the creator, the CEO's greed and not caring for their customers and lying and making excuses ultimately is what caused the company to just totally disappear and just be crap and not get anywhere, which is sad because they had really great concepts and color stories and the quality was good. I absolutely love this palette. I'm going to get rid of it though. Reason being is because I actually have 2 of these. So I'm actually going to get rid of this one because like I said, I have another one. So yeah, I'll give somebody else a chance to own this palette. Another Bombshell Cosmetica eyeshadow palette, and this is the Hubba Bubba. Oh no, I'm sorry, the Oh Hubba Hubba eyeshadow palette. This palette smells like bubblegum. Very cool tone, very, I don't want to say bland, but it's very chewing gum inspired. I tend to see chewing gum these colors. Never swatched this palette. I've had it for a long time, obviously, because like I said, the brand is no longer around. I know I have these colors tenfold. Well, correction. I know I have these colors. I know I have those colors. But Chewy Jolly Grape, not too sure about. Now, I'm going to, because even this green apple shade is really pretty, and sour. I know I have sour somewhere. For now, I'm going to hold on to this palette, mainly for these 3 shades. The rest of the palette is cute, but I know I have those other colors. I'm going to hold on to this for now, see if I can somehow find these shades in my collection. If not, I'm going to give myself a certain amount of time to use this palette. If I don't, then I will get rid of it. But as of right now, I'm going to hold on to it. Next is the Tarteist Pro eyeshadow palette. And this, I think, is the only other Tarte palette I have in my collection. I'm very sorry for the reflection. It's just, this is the mirrored packaging that I tend to dislike. I'm trying really hard not to blind you guys, so I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, this palette, every time I open it, I fall in love with it because of the color story. It just, and even the smell is like vanilla or something like vanilla. It smells like vanilla, but not really. It's just such a sweet smell. If anybody has this palette, please tell me what this smell is, because every time I smell it, it smells familiar to me, but I can't put my finger on it. But yeah, these shades, very neutral. I love this side of the palette. These over here I could care less about. I love, though, when they created this palette, they created it so that each line represented a specific look. So classic innocent whimsy smoked ethereal is one look. Vintage fierce no filter vamp glam is another look. I love that they created it with that in mind. For people that have a problem with color theory and pairing things together, I really thought that was smart how they did that. Now, these shades on the side, like I said, I'm really trying to show you guys without blinding you. I'm sorry if I'm doing a piss poor job. But these shades over here, so pretty. Trendy. This was, this shade has been done time and time again, but Tarte really executed it. Other brands have too, don't get me wrong. But I know that I really fell in love with it from this palette. I'm going to keep this palette because I think besides the paint collector's palette that I decluttered in the last video, I think this is my only other Tarte palette that I own. Every other one that I've owned, I've somehow either decluttered it or returned it. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this palette. Next is the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival eyeshadow palette. Love this palette when it came out. Used it a couple of times. I don't have anything really bad to say about it other than the fact that since this palette came out, I have accumulated way more palettes that have these colors in it that performed either better or they had majority of it in that one palette, and I tend to reach for that one more. Like I said, BH Cosmetics, I don't know if you realize this, but BH Cosmetics and NYX are my favorite drugstore brands, excuse me. I love the quality of BH Cosmetics. It's very rare that I come across a BH Cosmetics palette that I don't like, except for that nice, that nice palette they released during Christmas time. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that, because the quality was just so horrible. BH Cosmetics does tend to be hit or miss, but this is one of their hit palettes. I do love this palette. I really have fun every time I have played with it, but because, like I said, I've accumulated other palettes with these colors in it and I reach for those more, I'm going to get rid of this one. Next is the Bombshell Cosmetica Sour Blast eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. It is a rainbow colored palette. It smells like sour candy. Love the color story. Very rainbow-ish, very on brand for me. Love the quality of these shadows. I don't play with this as much as I want to. I actually want to put this in like a project pan for me this year so that it really does get the love that it deserves, because it really is a good palette. I'm going to keep this, even though I know I have a million other rainbow palettes. It's gonna come down to the battle of the bands, if you may. It's gonna come down to which rainbow palette is top tier. I just had a really good idea of what to do with this palette. So yeah, I am gonna hold on to it because like I said, I enjoy playing with it and I like the quality. Next is the Profusion Pro Pigment eyeshadow palette. And is that the name of it? Like, okay, yeah, it is the Profusion Pro Pigment eyeshadow palette. Love this palette. Excellent quality. Love playing around with it. I mainly use the mattes. I used a couple of shimmers, but I mainly flock towards the mattes. This palette, very pinky purple, has your pinks and then your neutrals and stuff like that. I'm going to get rid of this palette even though it is really good quality. Reason being is because I have the Sephora Pro Editorial palette and it has just about these colors in it. I prefer the color story and quality of that one over this one, even though this one is really good, especially since it is drugstore. It is really good quality. I honestly have nothing bad to say about it. It's just I'm trying to be mindful of colors that I have and not trying to keep repeat colors. So for that reason, I'm going to get rid of this palette. But I really enjoy playing with it when I have. Next is the Revolution Soph X eyeshadow palette. And this is what she looks like. Very neutral. I've never used this palette. I've swatched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades. Never played around with it. She's very pretty, but she is very neutral. I have these shades tenfold. I am going to get rid of this palette because I know if I keep it in my collection, it's just going to collect dust and it's not going to get any love. Next is the Juvia's Place Nubian 2 palette. I thought I was done with the new Juvia's Place stuff, but I guess not. So yes, another Juvia's Place palette. Love the quality of this one. This one, I have not played with this one as much as the others, if I'm being completely honest with you. I do love the shades Morocco, Jezebel, Cleopatra, and Ya, and Zori. Absolutely love these shades. And of course, wait, did I say Cleopatra? Yeah, love those shades. Great quality. I am not sure it is going to get much more love out of me. What I know I have these shades. It's just finding them is going to be the issue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to the side until I can locate these shades. Jezebel. Why do I feel like I just did Jezebel? Yeah, Jezebel, Morocco, Cleopatra. You know what? I can get rid of this. Reason being is because the other Juvia's Place palette does have similar shades. Morocco, I know I have a Urban Decay and Anastasia Beverly Hills single eyeshadow just like Morocco. And Jezebel, yeah, I have Jezebel. So I'm going to get rid of this one. So last three, and then we're going to conclude this video. So this is the Lorac Mega Pro 3 eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. Pretty color story, very neutral, very neutral. Eggplant, I believe, is Jezebel. I was just trying to find. Okay, it's a little bit deeper. That's fine though. I do like the quality of Lorac shadows. They cannot do a pastel palette to save their lives, but that's okay. That is okay. Overall, I love the quality of this. I love the fact that the first 2 rows are all matte and then the bottom 2 rows are all shimmer, satin, stuff like that, metallics. I don't own many Lorac palettes. Well, correction. I, as of now, am not going to own that many Lorac palettes because I got rid of quite a few at the beginning of the video. I'm going to keep this because, like I said, the quality is really good. Lorac, really great quality, just don't really hear about it as much anymore. And if I remember correctly, I think this palette was limited edition. So And I also heard, I'm not sure if it's true or not, that the Mega Pro palettes tend to be of the best quality when it comes to Lorac. So for that reason, I'm going to keep this palette. Next is the Lorac Mega Pro 4 eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. Same thing as the other palette. Top 2 rows are pure matte. Bottom 2 rows are shimmer metallic satins. Pretty color story. Cool tone. Very, very cool tone. Yeah, it's cool tone. It's a cool tone palette. Don't have many cool tone palettes. As I said with the previous palette, I heard that the Mega Pro tends to be like the top tier Lorac quality. So for those reasons, I'm going to keep this palette as well. And last but not least, this is the Morphe 35V Stunning Vibes eyeshadow palette. This is what she looks like. Sorry for the reflective packaging. So yeah, you have your blues, your pinks, your purples, your oranges, your neutrals, your shimmers. Very pretty palette. I enjoyed this palette every time I have played with it. And I honestly need to get more use out of it because this purple was always good to me. This blue was always good to me. Yeah, I need to play with this palette more. I don't even know if this is still on the market, but I know every time I have played with this palette, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So I am going to hold on to this. I do want to do more looks with this because, yeah, the quality was good. Yeah, the quality is actually really good on this palette. I don't know why I don't reach for it more often. I don't know, maybe because I have 7,000 eyeshadows. You know, I'm not even gonna go into it. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this palette for now. So this completes the end of this video. On the left hand side are the palettes that I decided to declutter. On the right hand side are the palettes I decided to keep. In this video, we talked about 51 different palettes. Out of those 51, I decided to keep 23, which means I decluttered 28 of them. My overall goal in this declutter series is to declutter anywhere from 75 to 100 palettes. And as of right now, in order to reach that goal, I have 12 more to 37 more palettes to go. So the first 75 is actually coming really quickly, and I'm proud of myself for that. We may even be able to push it to 100 and maybe even further than that, since all in all, we've only talked about, I believe, 114 palettes out of 400. So that means we have 286 to go. So I see no issue with me reaching the 100, possibly even more. So tell me you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Tell me which palette out of these that I decluttered were you most surprised with, and out of the ones that I kept were you most surprised with. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as turn on your notifications so that you can be notified for part 3 of this series, as well as any other videos that I upload. And I hope to see you all soon. Bye.